Hello, welcome to the Trade Game channel. This is Daniel. It's February the 3rd. Alright, so I'm just going to do a quick overview video here. I have some other stuff I have to do tonight after work before going to bed. So let's talk about the state of the crypto market because we had a bunch of stuff going on today. And we'll talk about my projects that I have going on, some of which have suffered recently. But that's okay. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And we'll just sort of we'll go from there. So I'm looking at Solana right now, and I'll go over a few cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin. Which let's hop over to Bitcoin and talk about that guy real quick. So Bitcoin had quite a day today. We went down to like $91,000. And then came up to $102,000. That's a spread of more than $10,000 in value in one day. So we went down and set a nice little. Ooh, gosh, I didn't set that very well when I put that on there before, did I? Must have been doing this from further out. And set a nice little bottom there, which is cool. Good sign generally for Bitcoin. But well, wow, we'd already been feeling some pain in the altcoin market and in properties other than Bitcoin. Bitcoin being kind of the figurehead of the market. As Bitcoin was just kind of hanging around a little bit above $100,000. A lot of these other altcoins were really suffering. The market has been suffering in general because of the tariffs, the trade war, and some of the other things that have been going on, at least in the U.S. economy. It's very possible the stock market in the U.S. might start to see a decline in its bull season, and the torch financially may begin to be passed from the stock market onto the cryptocurrency market, global market, cryptocurrency. Some of the people that I follow have been speculating that the intention of the current administration and some of their friends in finance and in big business is to facilitate the transfer of the financial system in the U.S., and Europe, and but at least in the U.S., entirely from the stock market and banks, the current banks that are holding a lot of money, and to start to shift those things into the crypto space, away from the stock market. And the people involved in government right now are trying to make sure that in doing so, they are the ones who have the most influence on that market, which would, if it does actually happen, be a massive transfer of power within the U.S. and globally, because a lot of people from the political party who are sort of down right now in politics, the Democrats, the Blue Party in the U.S., are heavily invested in the stock market and are very influential in the stock market. And this has always been true of Republicans and Democrats. But what's interesting is that we now have a pro-cryptocurrency executive branch, and they're going to start making regulatory changes. And also the person who is at the figurehead of the new Republican Party is a person who's in finance, is a real estate magnate. And so it'd be very interesting to see what they decide to do here. So all of that's highly speculative. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next few years in the U.S. But all of that actually bodes fairly well for Bitcoin. But if the stock market does crash, if we do have a decline like over the trade war, or some of these interesting things that have been happening in the early days of the new the second Trump presidency, we may be able to, essentially what I'm saying is, we may start seeing the price of Bitcoin and other altcoins declining and crashing because of these sort of negative news events, which may for us give us opportunities, which is good because this is what I've been looking for the last few weeks, to open longs, to open long bots, and to also to do other things. So that was sorry, I know that was really long, little kind of rant there, but to try and get all of that out all at once. Okay, so when it comes to the price of Bitcoin, we are starting to establish some pretty decent zones. We earlier on after this pump, or at some point during this pump, I had speculated maybe around here, I don't know, that we were probably going to range between $88,000 and $110,000. This was inauguration day, big news event, the big pro cryptocurrency news event, where we came up and just barely failed to make $110,000 and then came down. Um, so we seem to have on multiple occasions established here, here. Oh, that's how I set that green line. I was wondering, I had this green line set up here that I left as a significant area, and I was what the heck? How did I set this green line? Because it sure was really close to where Bitcoin bottomed out today, and it was here. It was this low from previously. So that was why I thought this would be a good. I guess it's a green line, so I guess I must have been thinking about buying in spot or something, which I did, incidentally. I'm going to tell you in just a minute about how some of my bots got liquidated and how sad I am and what a bummer it is. But the reality is, that happened. Uh, and I was going, oh gosh, my bots got liquidated, and my positions closed out, and I lost some money on that. And then I went to the bank and bought a few $1,000s more of Bitcoin at a low price. This is kind of why it's useful to day trade and be involved in these activities, because you end up knowing when you can buy at cheaper prices for things. So by being actively engaged in the market, even if I'm just putting in as much money as it would cost to buy a sandwich or something into the major cryptocurrencies, I can kind of keep an eye on the market, and then when I actually want to invest real money, um, a few $500 or $1,000 or something like that, some more substantial amount of USD. Um, I'll know when the market is when that coin is cheap, or when that stock is cheap, so I can buy it in spot, which I did. So I bought a bunch of Bitcoin in spot, probably around $93,000, and I'll be using that in spot to trade as currency to trade other cryptocurrencies um, automatically, in the same way that we're talking about doing grid trading with leverage bots. I'm doing that in spot without a liquidation value or any risk of that happening, using Bitcoin as the quote currency. So Bitcoin seems to have, and this is my thoughts on Bitcoin, uh, seems to have established a sort of psychological price range around $100,000. So we're kind of ranging between $90,000 and $110,000, and I'm reasonably sure at this point that everybody who is in finance, who is following the crypto market, all the cryptocurrency traders and investors, basically have this same exact setup on their computer monitors. This is what everybody is looking at right now. And so we've had 3 times, 4 times, 5 times demonstrated now that within roughly this green box that I've marked out here. Now, how did I set? Oh, I probably um, within this green box, which I set very roughly. Probably I moved it up a little bit because we have these internal areas here where we found support. Um, in this range, where you can see I've marked the lows. I didn't do this today. This is over this period of time because I was watching the market and making videos and trading and doing stuff. I was just naturally marking out lows. We have history of the price coming down to here, and then the buying pressure of people going, "Whoa, we can get cheap," because $89,000 is now cheap for Bitcoin. It wasn't 6 months ago, or 3, 4 months ago. Gosh, but it is now. Um, And so a bunch of people are probably buying it in spot. Institutional investors are probably setting up order blocks and stuff in this area. So when Bitcoin is down in this area or touching this area, this is when we want to be opening longs on Bitcoin and also on other associated coins. And really, um, this might be a decent time to do some longs on some other not as big coins as Bitcoin in the crypto space, because we had a big dip which probably caused everybody to crash, and then now we're moving back upwards with Bitcoin a little bit. So um, one of the things that's interesting about this pattern is we keep having these really long wicks down with Bitcoin lately, and it's kind of like this with Bitcoin. It does these huge liquidity sweeps up and down, um, and mostly down though. I mean, most people when you're buying in spot, you tend to have people short selling constantly, and then big waves of people buying as the price gets cheap. Um, these are tremendous shows of strength. It's really interesting how high this got on this day, because the price is getting pushed way down and then getting pushed all the way back up from very low. So you have, I'm not sure if you just have people who have tremendous amount of money dumping a bunch of their Bitcoin all at once to move it into other assets, and that's what causes a push down, and then it just gets pushed right back up because everyone's so interested, or what the situation is exactly. But we're seeing a bunch of really bullish candles in Bitcoin, and we've come down and touched this fair value gap, but just barely. I mean, we can't even really get down and do price exploration here because the buying pressure just comes on so strongly around 88, $89,000. So anyway, so I've kind of marked out here what I think is our buy zone for Bitcoin. Um, and that being said, the last time we had one of these ranging patterns, which was all of last year, we had a similar kind of situation. We were sort of trading in a channel, and remember, we had to go down and have our people call this max pain area, max drawdown, before we really were able to range and go up. And I don't know if it will do the exact same thing here, but I have a funny feeling, especially with human psychology and us really liking threes. This is a thing that if you watch television, if you watch movies from the last 100 years, there's kind of a rule of three in television and movies, where, like, if somebody's trying to do something and you're trying to build tension, and you're going to have them repeatedly try to do it, you typically will have them repeat that action 3 times. So if Indiana Jones or some other explorer is trying to swing across a pit uh, in the jungle or something, they're going to try once and fail and not get anywhere close. And then they're going to try a second time and do a little better, but not quite get there. And then on the third time, they're going to get it. Because in movies and TV, they do things in threes when they have characters do things, because for some reason that's psychologically pleasing for human beings. So, as with here, we kind of have 1, 2, 3. 3 big downswings, really truly big downswings, before psychology, because we're talking about market psychology, which is human psychology, before we felt satisfied enough and kind of got to this area of support and resistance to go, oh, okay, we've had, and this is why people call it max pain, because people feel it. People feel like, oh no, what if the price is going to keep going down, and it's anxiety in this area. Before we had enough of that as to begin to feel optimistic. You have to have enough of a drag downwards and have enough people get liquidated and sell before you can move to do price discovery in a new area. Well, we've had one swing up, one at least pretty good swing up, swing down, and then another swing up and down. So my thought is that we may perhaps be in for a similar structure here, or at the very least, I don't think that having one, I mean, this, yeah, we had a little up and then down here, but this looks like an internal move to me. I think we're going to need to go up, down. We've gone up, or not sure if I can really count this as a down or not, but we need at least another down and then another up to form a, you could call it, well, there are a few things you could call it, really. Just to be as basic as possible, let's just call it a shoulder pattern. Now, if, of course, the head, now mind you, head and shoulder pattern is a top pattern. It's a bear, it's a pattern that we see when something peaks and then starts to go down afterwards. But we don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen either. It seems very likely there's going to be a lot of money pouring into crypto over the next year, and it doesn't seem very likely. However, but three triangles. I was going to say three. Maybe isn't there like a three driving wedges? Yeah, three. Anyway, we may be in for something like this. My guess would be that we're going to set kind of a right shoulder like this, and then especially because a lot of people in the market are going to go, it's a head and shoulders pattern. They're going to be doing this, and they're going to do all their little calculations, and they're going to set targets, probably like, and mind you, there's no reason this would need to happen, but they're going to kind of set targets like down here, down to like the waist of Head and Shoulders. And we're going to take this target and we're going to go down like that. And they're going to say, so Bitcoin's going to need to correct down to at least here or some nonsense like that. Because we're all going to be looking for patterns, right? Human beings like to do pattern recognition. Our brains just enjoy that. I don't know if I'm going to like try to do any of that nonsense. I do have these purple areas here marking out trade value gaps that I think we should kind of just be generally aware of. Even if they don't ever get filled in, they do seem likely to me. But my guess would be that at the very least we could kind of say like this right shoulder is probably going to go down a bit at some point. So if you're planning on holding, like say for example a bot, because we do bot trading, which is one of the things I'm doing lately, we're going to have to sort of keep in mind that we may need to have the bot tolerate the price of Bitcoin going down as far as this, which, because we're not really running bots on Bitcoin a whole, or well I might, but I don't have anybody really asking me to do like a copy trade bot on Bitcoin right now, so I don't have one going. Really, we're talking about the other cryptocurrencies, smaller cap cryptocurrencies that we're actually going to be trading. So anyway, so what I'm saying is that some of these bots, like these Solana bots, like if this thing doesn't really build up enough capital to essentially have a liquidation of like $0, I may need to close this in order to avoid it getting into trouble later when Bitcoin does dip. Now, in the event that this actually does build up enough margin to secure itself so that at this point it's pretty much deployed all of its longs um, down to $0, so the bot is essentially liquidation proof, then it won't really matter tremendously if this does dip down rather low to $100, say, or so. Um, and really, even at this point with this Solana bot, uh, its liquidation value probably won't get over $100, which is pretty low price for Solana. Um, it's very unlikely that I'm saying that Solana will actually dip that far, unless we really kind of just go completely bananas. Um, it'll be worth it to hold through that for Solana, especially if it keeps going up. But yeah, anyway. So Solana is trading in a channel, upwards channel. Uh, And that's really all I have to say about that. As long as Bitcoin continues to be bullish, this might continue. And it does look like we've printed a daily candle that's bullish here, but it will need to at least correct down a little bit after this movement. Well, what are we doing on the... I mean, I would expect it to, yeah. See, I would expect it to come down and fill in some of this liquidity, some of these trade value, or fair value gaps. Sort of an inverse head and shoulders pattern is what I would expect here. To maybe, to here at least, maybe here. So this bot's probably going to dip below its grid a little bit and then come back up, would be my guess, for the next couple of days. Although, of course, this all depends on what the market actually does, if any news events occurs, if anything happens that might adversely, positively, or negatively affect Solana. I mean, this could indeed come down and break out of its channel to the downside. But I don't particularly see that happening with Solana right now. But Solana is a good buy, I think. I really do think, along with Ethereum. Ethereum, not so much because it's really doing all that well against Bitcoin, but just because it's kind of the second biggest cryptocurrency. A lot of very notable market movers have been buying up, or last year, in December, some of these pumps in December were people buying up Ethereum ETFs, Bitcoin Ethereum ETFs, and also just buying it outright, like in the actual crypto market, instead of doing this funny thing where you invest in stocks, stock market. So Solana has a pretty good trend line going back really to like 23, the beginning of the bull market, and we seem to still pretty much be following that in kind of a channel going upwards, as you can see. And so with our bot running the way it is, as long as it doesn't break out of the channel and start to really challenge some of these lines of support in a pretty significant way, we shouldn't have too much of a problem. Gosh, that's looking very nice. But that's not to say that it won't come down and try to explore some of these areas. Thing is, like, I mean, it really... there's not a whole lot of areas where you don't have where where we haven't done price exploration really. This actually looks pretty solid. So I don't know. I'm not seeing any issues really with Solana bot trading the way it is set up now with this range. Um, and so I have pretty good hopes for this one overall. Although of course with uh, and it is in the bottom of this channel in the weekly chart. Um, you can see on the daily chart now. Um, let's see. Okay. So we had two kind of Hikanashi. We had two downward legs here. A strong impulse up in November, and then strong impulse down. Secondary impulse down, and then we had a small bullish move up. And what are we doing now? Are we starting perhaps a small pullback? Certainly would make sense to me at this level. Uh, so not a it wouldn't be a terrible idea in my opinion to do something like set a long right around $200 maybe for Solana. Um, yeah. Okay, so kind of like maybe there. So reward ratios. And then where would we set our take profit for this? Well, I mean, hey, I would say usually you kind of go for a 1.5. Oh, those are yeah, all right. 1.5, I think, would probably be okay. Well, it could still be, it could still range up and set a lower high relative to here, and you would still be at your take profit level. So that would be a good, reasonable place to stop along, I would think. So this is something that I've started doing lately, and I'll continue to do it if anybody wants me to. Or maybe just for fun. So here's a proposed long position we're going to paper trade. Or I don't know, maybe I'll put $1 onto it or something. Um, if the price gets down to there, we can enter along going that direction. Uh, Entry price, take profit, and stop loss on screen now. Um, yeah. So that's my situation. Yeah. So that's coverage. So that's my discussion basically for Bitcoin and for Solana, at least for right now. I'd propose long in this. I am setting up longs preferentially um, to shorts right now, incidentally, because I do think that we are still maybe halfway through, or in the first third of the bull market. We've got like a lot of promising times ahead in terms of like increasing values in cryptocurrency markets, and so uh, because I believe the market is going up currently, I'm sort of setting up longs. When I think that, when I begin to believe that the crypto market, this bull market has hit its peak, I'm going to switch. I will 100% be switching and saying we need to start shorting. And then all of my bots will be shorting all of these paper trades. Anything that I'm doing is going to be shorting once I feel like we've satisfied the peak. Um, but we'll have to see how it's going. We'll see. I tend to follow chatter in the crypto community, but you only have so many hours in a day. Um, anyway, so this has been the Trade Game Channel. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Um, yeah, let's see. It is February the 3rd, and we've been talking about um, market analysis of Bitcoin and also Solana. God be with you. Please be good to one another. Oh, please like and subscribe to the video. Help us kind of grow our little community here. And I will talk to you later.